What is this DOM? What is this DOM? It's a full form. It's a full form, right? What is DOM? It's a document object model. It's a full form. So we used to say like this in college days, right? What do you call it? What is CPU? Central Processing Unit. Yeah, I know it's a full form. What is CPU? That's it. Okay, so I'm gonna create an H1. So I'm gonna create a few elements. Okay, let's say DOM interaction. I'm gonna create an unordered list. Yeah, list items. Item 1. Item 2 and item 3. So I have written a few elements, right? HTML elements. You're all good with HTML, am I right? You're all good with our HTML. Okay, so here I'm going to provide an attribute. What is an attribute? What is an attribute? Yes, additional additional information to an HTML element, right? So list hyphen item. These are all attributes. And also we can create a custom attributes also. So whatever the attribute, so I might not explain these things, right? Custom attributes. So of course the language provides some attributes by its own. So we can also able to get our custom attributes. We can write our custom attributes. How do you gonna write? So whatever the attribute we are going to define, like data hyphen. So whatever after this one is wherever the HTML is a custom attribute. You can add your own attributes also. I hope explain. I forgot on it. Sorry. We have a custom attribute. Okay, see. So these are custom attributes. So you can provide your own custom attributes also. Okay, your own custom attributes. Okay, so data hyphen position. So it's a custom attribute. Wherever the HTML sees these things, data hyphen. So after this, it's up to you. Whatever the thing you want to give, you can provide it. Okay, these are called custom attributes. Okay, so I'm not at all interested in custom attributes. We'll go for a predefined only. Class. Class is also attribute, right? Class item and okay, I have created a and HTML. Okay, so we have what do we call it? DOM. What is this DOM? So before learning about DOM, so whatever the code we have written in our VS Code, where does it code going to execute? Where does this code is going to execute? Inside our browser. Okay. See, I told you in the beginning, browser doesn't understand .css also. You know this thing. If you double click on it, .css doesn't work. Browser doesn't understand .js also. What does browser understand? Only .html. Okay. So whenever you're going to return this file using .html, and whenever you try to open this file using a browser, the first thing the browser is going to parse, it is going to see the all the elements. What are the elements has been declared? Okay, it is going to parse all the HTML elements and it is going to render inside our DOM, our browser, pixel by pixel. So each pixel, how much we have defined, that much of pixel is going to calculate from that device. Okay, it is going to assign it. Okay, but wherever the browser sees the script file, whenever the browser encounters this file, so this code is going to, whatever the thing we are written inside the script tag, it is going to execute inside a JavaScript engine. Okay, so every browser does as its own JavaScript engine. Okay, it's all browsers are different. Okay, so Safari has its own engine, Opera has its own engine, Google Chrome has its own engine. Okay, like this thing. So we have Mozilla Firefox, right? So every browser has its own JavaScript engine. So after this DOM, so we are going to learn about advanced JavaScript. There we're going to see the complete JavaScript engine architecture, how it's been designed, all these things. Okay, your code is executes, the JavaScript code is going to execute, because whatever the code we have written, it's a human readable code. I can only read these things. Computer doesn't understand these things. Computer understands zeros and ones only, right? So that code is going to execute inside our JavaScript engine. JavaScript engine converts this human readable code to machine code, zeros and ones, and it's going to execute in our CPU. Of course, all code is executed in our computer CPU, okay? Our central processing unit only. So whatever the results, after calculating whatever the results we are going to get, so that is going to be added into the our console log, our DOM, wherever you want, you can able to add it. Okay, so this how the DOM is going to structure. But whenever the browser parses this thing, whenever browser parses all the HTML elements, it is going to create a tree-like structure. Okay, it is going to create a tree-like structure. Each tag, whatever the tag, HTML tag, each tag is associated with an object. You know object, right? Object contains properties, right? Key and value pairs, right? Each HTML tag is associated, it's an own object. Okay, of course, what is the topmost entry point of our application? We have one more topmost, document. Okay, that entire document, this entire document. And we have one, so the document is a property of a global object. You know global object, right? So if you want to see the global object, type window and enter. It's a global object. Okay, so if you if you open this one second, so you can see document. And another property of a global object. If you open this document, you'll see all our HTML elements here. Okay, completely this object has been built by the JavaScript creators only. Okay, so document is the topmost entry point. Okay, our application document is the first entry point. But whenever the JavaScript sees these things, so sorry, browser sees all these things, it's going to create a structure. I'm going to write a DOM tree for this one. So it's the topmost entry point. We called document. Next, under the document, what is the thing we have? HTML. Okay, inside the HTML, what are the things we have? Head and body. They are the children of, direct children of HTML, right? Then head. This is an body. Okay, inside the head, what are the things we have? 3 meta tags and 1 title. Okay, under the title, what we have? Document. See this one, text content. Okay, next, under the body, what are the things we have? H1, unordered list. It's in H1. It's an unordered list. Under the unordered list, we have 3 list items. Okay, each list items has a text content. Item 1, item 2, item 3, right? So we have document. Okay, under the document, we have HTML, right? So HTML has 2 things. One is head, another one is body. Under the head, we have meta, and title tag. Okay, under the title, we have written called document text. It's a text content. Okay, so next, under the body, H1 tag, right? H1. So there we have DOM interaction text. And we have unordered list. So it has like this thing. Okay. So it has 3 list items. Each list items has an item 1 text content, item 2 text content, and item 3. Okay. So each HTML element is an object representation. I told you in the beginning. Okay. Each HTML element is an object representation. So it's all, so this how the browser parses this your HTML file. It is going to scans, parses, and it is going to create this tree-like structure. How complex it is? No worries. It's going to create a tree-like structure. We called it DOM tree. Guys, how do you say why React is more popular? Why React is more popular? So based on the framework, see, based on this DOM only they're going to decide. If the framework is quick enough to change the DOM elements, we based on that only we're going to calculate the performance. This is most important. The entire world is going behind this thing. So of course we have an Angular. Angular is quite a little bit slower, microseconds. Okay, compared to React, because React has a virtual DOM. Means, so if I try to add an element, so the earlier days we are going to re-render the complete DOM from the top to bottom again for every changing element. But React is not like this. So it is going to, so if you change this only H1, it is going to compare with old DOM tree, and it's going to compare with the new DOM tree. Whatever the elements has been added, it is going to add that much of element. It's not going to re-render the entire DOM tree. Understood? We have old, so we have updated. It's going to check which of the element has been updated with compared to the old one. It's going to render that much of DOM elements. It's not going to re-render the entire element. So this is how they design the single page application. You know, this SPA. So basically, these frameworks we're going to use to build a single page applications. Okay, in our hotel website, for home page we have created separate HTML. About we have separate HTML. Contact we have separate HTML, right? In React, not like this. It's only one index.html. That's it. In the same one index.html, we are going to replace the components. So it's a component based architecture. Okay, so everything is going behind this DOM tree only. So if you quick enough to, if the framework is quick enough to replace this DOM elements, that's based on this only we can calculate the performance. Understood? So this is how the DOM tree has been designed. So if you no matter how much complex big application, so this is a DOM tree they wanna see. Okay, each element representation of an object. Object contains its properties. So what does this object contains? These objects contains properties and methods to select an element. Okay, of course, JavaScript can able to access objects, right? Object is one of the data structure of an object, other JavaScript, right? One of the data structure of an JavaScript. So we can able to interact with these objects using DOM. We can able to interact directly using JavaScript. So now this how we can able to make an and relationship between. Okay, so this how the JavaScript can able to select elements and as well as its childs. Understood? This is called DOM, document object model. So document, so each element is an object, okay, and it's completely a model. It's called DOM. Understood? So in order to interact with these elements, okay, in order to interact with these elements, we need some methods. We call DOM manipulation methods. Okay, so there are 5 DOM manipulation methods we have. Okay, there are 5 DOM manipulation methods. So one is document.getElement by ID, document.getElement by class name, get elements by class name, document get elements by tag name, document.query selector, and document.query selector all. We're gonna briefly discuss all these things. Understood the DOM tree? What is DOM? How does the browser understands your code and how does it's going to create a parses into a DOM tree? Understood? The remaining, whatever the script tag written, it's going to directly execute inside of a JavaScript engine. The remaining HTML elements is going to create a DOM tree like structure. So each element is an object representation. It's an object. We can able to directly access those objects. Understood? Okay, we have a DOM manipulation. Manipulation means changes, right? Methods. First one, document dot get element by ID. Document dot get element by ID. Next, we have document dot get elements by class name. So ID and class name, you know this all this stuff, right? Get elements by class name. Document dot get elements by tag name. Elements, make a note of this thing, singular and plural. Document dot query selector. Okay, and document dot query selector all. So we will discuss these 5 DOM manipulation methods. Okay, so we're going to discuss here. Okay, so while working with HTML, so you might see, so ID should be unique. Why? So if you return an ID, if you give an ID for an HTML element, you should not use the same ID for another element. I told you in the beginning, right? Why? What is the reason? Why ID should be unique? Uniqueness, sir. Yes, why should we need this uniqueness? Yeah, why it's not why it's necessary? Why I'm so this way there would be a reason, right? Beyond these things. When I say it should be unique, There are some reasons, right? What's the reason?
In order to pass specification.
Okay, let's see these things. I have an HTML element, H1, having an ID main title. Understood? Now, using the DOM selection method, see, I'm going to select that element. How to select? First, you need to refer the topmost entry point of our application. Document. Document is also an object, right? I told you in the beginning. Object, how to access the properties of an object. How to access, I'm talking about general object. How to access the properties of an object. Dot notation or dot. Okay. Document. That's the reason. Is each HTML element is an object representation. Document dot. So of course, inside the document object, we have an get element by ID. Get element by ID. So this method accepts an arguments. What's an argument? Functions. What is an argument? Arguments are the value for a parameter, right? Okay. So here you have to provide the ID name. What is the ID name? Main hyphen title. Main hyphen title. It is going to select your H1 element. Is H1 element written right? It is going to select your H1 element. Now I'm going to use the same ID for this one also. I'm going to duplicate this ID. Now tell me, so document.get element by ID, this method is going to set which element? The first one or second one? Why?
Second one. Latest one.
Okay, did I close the diagram? Okay, no issue. So document dot get element by ID. It's always select the first occurrence in the DOM tree. The diagram, you've seen this, right? So in the diagram, in the DOM diagram, the DOM tree diagram, so which element having an element ID main title? Which element has the ID main title in the first DOM tree? So H1, right? So that's the reason you should not duplicate the IDs, because the document.get element by ID method does not detect the second one. It's always selects the only one. It's a single selection. Understood? Because so document.get element by ID always selects an element having an ID main title in the first occurrence in the DOM tree. What is the first occurrence? H1. Then only we have list items, right? This list item. Okay, so that's the reason you should not duplicate the ID. Of course, in CSS, if you duplicate, no issue. You can able to apply CSS. But while selecting an element, so you can't able to select an element. Okay, having a duplicates IDs. Understood? So this is the first way of selecting an element. See, I can able to select any. See, first we're gonna learn about selectors. As we learn in CSS, first we're gonna learn about selectors. Later we can able to change how to change the elements using DOM manipulation. First we're gonna do selectors. So these are the 5 way of selections. Document dot get element by ID. So should not represent ID by hashing, because the method itself says I'm selecting an ID. So just provide ID name. That's fine enough. Do not provide any hash or dot like this thing symbols. Okay, next. Okay, so the next method is document.get elements by class name. I told you in the beginning, we can able to use the same class on multiple elements, right? The name itself, the method name itself says elements. It's going to select multiple elements. Now tell me how to store a multiple values in a single variable. Objects next. Arrays, right? Basically, this document dot get elements by name returns an array-like structure. It's not an array. It's like it returns array-like structure. Yes, it has a length property. We can iterate using for loop. We can iterate. Okay. Now tell me how many elements having the class list item. 2. It's going to set both the element and it's going to store inside an HTML collection. It's an array-like structure. Okay. So document dot get elements by class name. So list hyphen item. It's an array, right? It's an array. If you open this one, if you overrun, see, this is the first element having class list item. The second element. These are the last two elements. So we have a length property also. And also it does supports few array methods like for each all these things. We can iterate using the for each all these things. Understood? Okay, it does not support like push, pop, slice, splice. It doesn't support. Okay, only we have length property. Using this length property, I can iterate over this array. Understood? So it will select all the elements having the class list item. Understood? So that's the reason. So if you want to select a multiple elements, so you can do by selection. You can do these things. If you want to select only first one in that case, so you can iterate and you can put a condition if index is equal to 0. So index is equal to 0, it's always set the first element. So you can select any elements using that logic. Index number, you can select any elements. Next. Document dot get elements by tag name. Of course. So we can able to set elements based on tags also, right? This is what we see in CSS, right? Document dot get elements by tag name. Okay. Now I am going to select the tag li. How many li's we have? Again, it's gonna I'm gonna see in an HTML page. So we have a multiple elements of the same HTML element, right? So we have multiple elements. So you can have multiple H1s, multiple paragraphs, multiple paragraphs you have, right? So that's the reason get elements by name selects all the elements having a tag, a specific tag. Here I'm looking for an li tags. So totally how many li's we have? 3. Now tell me how many LS we have? Get elements by tag name. It selects all the 6 LIs. Okay, just see the markup. Understood? So it selects all the LIs. So again, we can iterate and we can conditionally, we can do some changes also. It's up to you. Okay, but this is one of the way of selection. Get elements by tag. Okay, see till now what we have discussed, only 3 methods, right? Elements, we get elements by ID, get elements by class name, get elements by tag name. These methods will go on set a specific elements having a attributes, right? Attributes and HTML element. So we have a generic selector. So we call it query selector. Again, this selector is going to select a single element. It's not an, so it's exactly like a document get element by ID. It's always selects a single element, but here you can select any type of element. Whatever the, what do we call it? CSS selectors, you know, till today, nested selectors, attribute selectors, all these selectors will work here. Okay, let's see these things. The third one, document query selector. Document dot query selector. Again, here you need to tell properly, because an element contains class attribute, an element contains ID attribute, an element contains any type of attributes, right? So in CSS, how do you gonna represent a class? Dot. How do you represent an ID? Hash, right? You need to explicitly tell here. So ID main hyphen title. So unlike last 3 methods we have discussed, those methods specifically sets a specific attribute elements. but this is a generic selector. You need to make an uniqueness. How to tell a uniqueness? See, I am looking for an element having ID. So this hash represent ID. I am looking for an element ID which is having main hyphen title. Okay. So again, the query selector is always set the first occurrence in the DOM tree. So always see again. So we have a list items. Okay. Totally 4 list item class LIs. Okay. So I'm going to, so if you use document query selector, document dot query selector. So to represent class dot, you need to explicitly tell using query selector, you need to explicitly tell what type of element it is, what type of attribute. List hyphen. It's always set the first occurrence. This is the item 2 is the first occurrence. The first element having inside the DOM tree is the first element having a list item class. It's always selects the first occurrence. This is single element selector, query selector. Understood? And also we can able to select any kind of elements like this. I have a div having a class box. Here I have an another div or a paragraph. Some lorem 5. Okay, I want to select this paragraph. What are you going to do in CSS selectors?
Dot box and
Dot box space P. So we have a nested selector, right? So we can do the type of selector also. Document dot query selector. So use query selector always. Here I want to select. Okay. That one box. Okay, query selector will work with the whatever the CSS way of selections we are learn in CSS, right? We have whatever the CSS way of selections. Okay, it selects all the elements, all the selectors will work here. Okay, so how are you gonna check a direct child? Direct child selection. So this is a descendant, right? It's a descendant selector. So how do you gonna check a direct child? The direct child selection, right? What is the difference between these two things?
so that's the first child.
So nested selector will select how much deeply nested it doesn't case. So children, grandchildren, great grandchildren also. But this always selects this selector is the direct child selector is always selects the immediate children, immediate child, like these things. Okay. If you use descendant selector, this box space P, so it selects this paragraph also, this paragraph also. Okay, but when it comes to direct child, that is only set the direct child descendant selector. Understood? So these are the two difference, right? So you can use this type of selectors also. Okay, using this type of selectors, using query selector, you can select any elements by using your known CSS selectors, any known CSS selectors. Understood? So this is the one. Next, we have document dot query selector all. Again, the name itself, all. It's going to select all the elements. Of course, how does it going to store? It's going to store inside an array-like structure. It's not an HTML collection this time. It's a node list. Okay, what is this node list means? So HTML collection only selects these elements, but node list, can you able to see the spaces, indentations, spaces? It's also select these spaces also. Okay, node list includes HTML collection as well as the spaces also. So document dot query selector all. So I am going to select, what's that one? List item. So class list hyphen item. Okay. Again, it's like an array-like structure. Node list also like an array-like structure. We have a length property also. We can iterate. So one of the array method. We're gonna discuss all these things. Okay. For each is also one of the array method. We can able to iterate over these things. Understood? You know this entries, right? Object dot entries. So they get array entries also we have. Okay, we can able to get this. So this is all about the 5 way of selection of DOM elements. So only these 5 ways. Okay, so this how we're gonna select. Any doubts in these things? 5 way of selection. Any doubts? Now we're going to learn about DOM traversing. What is a traversing in general? So by taking one reference, we can move from one place to another place. We call traversing, right? Now again, using this selection, I'm going to select a list items, a child, one child. So using this, I can able to select its parent. I can able to select its siblings. I can able to select its grandparent. So like this is. So by referencing a one element, I can select its parent, siblings, and grandparent, like these things. We can do these things, okay? We call DOM traversing. Okay, don't worry. Before sharing this file, I'm gonna add some notes. Okay, so just concentrate on the methods. Okay, we have a child selection. Child selection. Okay, so we can able to by selecting parent, I can select its child, immediate child. Okay, like this thing. So direct child, direct child node. Okay, and one more important thing, whatever the selection I've made, document.get element by ID, class name, query sector, all the 5 ways, you can store it inside a variable. Later you can reuse it. Okay, like this thing. See, I need a variable const ul. Ul is a variable. Okay, so document, it's up to you guys. I am just giving for your reference here. You can provide ABC also, doesn't matter. Okay, so document dot query selector. You can store it. Later you can able to check the output of ul. You're going to select the element. Means, so you can store your selection inside a variable and later we can reuse it. Understood? That's the reason I told you. This is a document. It's an object, right? You can store an object inside a variable. This is what we discussed. Right? Const person is equal to curly braces. There we can put an object literal, right? Exactly the same way. You can store this object inside this variable. Later we can use it. Understood? The same thing. So using DOM traversing. So I'm going to select a child using a parent. First, I am going to remove this thing. First, I am going to select this parent. Okay, this is the parent. I am going to select this UL. So from this UL, I can able to select its children. I'll show these things. How to select the UL? How do you going to select this UL? Yeah, get elements by ID or elements tag name. It's up to you. Okay, It's up to you. There are 5 ways I've explained, right? So I'm going to use query selector, generic selector, document dot control center. Const ul is equal to document dot query selector. ul. ul. So what are the children of ul? ul dot, again we have one more property, children. It selects all the children of ul. Understood? So now tell me, so this is a place. So from the first element, can I able to its children's? So this is a parent, right? From the parent, can I able to select the children's, right? So all the children's under this parent, we can able to select it. Okay. See, I can able to select all the children. Understood? Now I am going to select the child. From the child, I can able to select parent, like vice versa, reverse operation. Upside of the down tree. So just now we've seen the downside. First, I will set the parent. Okay. First, I will set the parent. From the parent, I can able to set its children. Now reverse. Okay. First, I will set the child. From the child, I can able to set its parent. Yeah. Now I'm going to select the UL. First UL. Okay. Document const li is equal to document dot query selector li. Okay. It is going to select the first li, because query selector always selects the first element, right? First element. So from this li, can I able to select its parent? Li dot parent element. Who is the parent element of li? Unordered list. Okay. Now tell me, how do you gonna select grandparent? Who is the grandparent of li? Body. Right? Is the grandparent. How do you gonna do selections? There is no direct way to select a grandparent. You have to do programmatically. So think, how do you gonna select it?
li dot parent element dot parent element.
Yes. Parent element dot parent element, right? So I am looking for a parent element. Inside, again, I'm looking for a parent element. The body. It's a one way. Another way I explain. I have one more called closest method. Using this closest also, we can do these things. I will explain. Don't worry. Understood? Okay, next. So, of course, so this I can able to set another list. I can able to select all its children. So once if I selections, can I able to set only first child or last child, a specific child, first or last? You can do these things. Yes. Const. Okay. Const ul. How to set the ul? Document dot query selector ul. Okay. ul dot first child. First element child. So if you want the last child, ul dot last child element. Middle, you need to iterate, right? You need to iterate. Which one you want to select, you can iterate and you can able to select it. Using I value, you can do the selections, right? So you can iterate. Next, first element child, last element child, unordered list, and we can able to select some children to parent element, right? So grandparent, parent element dot parent element. Okay, it's a grandparent. Next. Okay, next we're gonna select siblings. Okay, I am going to select this list item. What is the previous sibling? Item 1. What is the next sibling? Item 3. So this is the element I'm gonna select. Who is the previous sibling? Means elder brother. Okay, he's the thing. So the item 1, who is the younger brother? Item 3, right? So by selecting this one, I can able to select the previous sibling or next sibling also. Means left side of direction, right side direction. Can able to do these things, all the 4 directions. Document dot query. So first I'm gonna select the list items. Const. Now tell me, how do you gonna select the item 2? Document dot query selector. So it's only sets one element, right? So I'll pass the class list item. So inside the DOM tree, so this is the first item having in class list item, right? This is the first element having class list item. It's going to directly select this one. So, okay, so you can check li. This is the first item. The first list item having class list item. So from this li, I can able to its previous sibling. Li dot previous sibling element sibling. It's gonna say what is the previous element sibling? Item 1. And li dot next sibling. Li dot next element sibling. Item 3. Understood? So this is how we can make it selection. Okay. So this is how we're gonna do these things. The last part is how to select a grandparent. Okay, in the second way. So parent element dot parent it also works, but we have one more elegant way. Okay, that way gonna see these things. So for these things, so I am going to select which one? The li. Who is the parent of li? Unordered list. Who is the grandparent? Body. Const li is equal to document dot query selector li. Okay, it's always selects the first list item. You can go and check. First li. Item 1. Okay, it's always select the first item. So from this position, I want to select its grandparent. So there is no direct way to set the grandparent. So we are going to use a method called closest. Closest. Now tell me. So li dot closest. So what is the tag or what is the tag name of the its grandparent? Body, right? You need to pass the body here. Li dot closest. Okay, it's going to select the body. Now, how does it exactly works? How does this exactly? How to analyze this thing? Okay. So for the to understand these things, so I'm gonna write a simple deep list. How does this? So what is the topmost element? Topmost entry point of our application. document. So document. See this how it's been DOM structure, DOM tree has been structured. Next, who is the children of the document? The child, HTML. Okay, so next, inside the HTML we have, no, I'm looking for body this time. See, under the HTML, so we have a body children, right? I'm not looking for this one because my DOM tree will like these things. So who is the parent for body? HTML. I'm going like this. I'm not looking for any adjacent like siblings. I'm not looking for. I'm going for only parent path. Okay. Who is the parent for the body? So document HTML body. Next. Unordered list. Next. Li. Understood? So this is how it's been organized. Document. Next. HTML. Next. Body. Next. Unordered list. And list item. So this is how the parent has been organized. Right? So the closest method, what does it does? It is going to traverse. Okay, it is going to traverse through all the parents' path. Okay, wherever it finds the tag body, it's going to select. No matter if grandparent, great grandparent, doesn't matter. Okay, it is going through the parents' paths like these things. So first, its closest means what? So first, it's going to look on another list. Does it matches with the body tag? No. Next is going to the grandparent body. Yes, it matches. So if you can also able to set the HTML also. Li dot closest closest. So I'm looking for an element. See here, any kind of element will work. So even you can provide an ID also. You can provide an what do we call it? Class also. You can provide a nested selection. All the ways. Okay. So here we're going to select HTML. It's the entire HTML because it is going to look a closest element which matches the HTML tag inside this DOM path. Understood? So by this way also we can do selections. I will the next topic after the DOM we're gonna working with events. There I will show. So there one concept of bubbling and capturing. So in real time, where you're gonna use this all these things, I'll show these things. Okay, using close is really helpful a lot. Okay, so Li on order list and it's gonna set the body, and you can able to set any element. Okay, so and also one more thing. See, observe. Control X. Okay, now I can make this selection also. I can make this selection also. Okay, now observe. Document dot query selector. I will select the Li. Li dot. Okay, closest. I am looking for an element having list item. Okay, you do these things. It's not possible, right? It's not at all possible. Now, how do you want to do the selections? It's always above the DOM tree. So, okay. It's always above the DOM tree. It doesn't work. Understood the issue? Okay. So make a note of these things. So how the paths goes on. Sibling, definitely go for a sibling. It doesn't work here. Closest element, it doesn't work. So how does it works? It works like this thing. No nested ls. You know this thing, right? Okay, on the time. So who is the parent? Okay, sorry. Okay. See, I can able to select li also in this time because they are the same path. Serve it back again. First, I am gonna select what do we call it? List item. Okay, list item. How do you gonna do selection? Const li is equal to document dot query selector. I'm looking for a list item. Okay, so it's going to select item 2. I'll make it to item 1. Okay, so I'll make it to item 1. You'll understand this. Const li is equal to document dot query selector list hyphen item. Okay, it's going to select this one, right? From this, I can able to select the li because both are. So this li is grandchildren of this li, right? Okay, I can able to select li or I can able to select body also this time. Okay, see li dot closest okay, so closest what do we call it? List closest having li. Li closest from here, right? I selected list item. So the item 1. Select the list item. Okay, so by this path, we can able to do a selection. Okay, I'll make an ID. This one. I'll make an uniqueness. Both are selecting the same element. I'm looking for ID item. Const li to document dot Paris selector list hyphen item. li dot closest. ID, right? ID. Okay, make a uniqueness. Okay, why to do this closest? So you should make this element to be uniqueness. Okay, so now it's going to select this another list. Okay, because closest will always set its own element or its parent or its grandparent, like these things. It goes up above, not the below down. Okay, it never goes down here. So it's all about the DOM selection. Again, still we have two more classes for DOM. Okay, so tomorrow we're gonna, so just you see the selector, right? So tomorrow how to manipulate this DOM, how to add an element, how to add a style, how to add an attribute, how to add an element. Okay, we'll see these things. Okay, so today we just seen about the DOM way of selections. Understood? Any doubts in this DOM? Any doubts? Okay. Right down. So item. So there are 5 ways we can able to select.